become what they're meant to be or to keep their position for better or for worse. It's just, I long for the day, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, when the majority of these public citizen slaves actually like jumpstart and boost their IQ and are able to see and hear and feel again and come back under the Lord, like they like to say, born again. Because I think that's what happened to me. And they're going to go, oh my God, there's a whole other reality going on here. And I just constantly projected onto it in my ignorance and arrogance. And behind the scenes or reading between the lines, you can tell there's way more to this story and way more coming down the line. You guys forget that history is a process. Like, where do you think this goes? You think this is just another random moment that's going nowhere? It's going somewhere, right? Matter of fact, it's going to the point where if you don't start putting us all in prison for a really long time, we're going to change the dynamic in the game here. We're already doing it. The evidence is already on the ground. Yes, there's the opposing side, as I spoke about before, folks getting gunned down left and right. The other side is African Americans traveling freely and African American cops speaking cordially with courteousness and saying, you know what, you're right. You do have natural rights and you can travel freely. Bon voyage. We'll see you later. Just know that other cops aren't going to be as faithful and honorable and forgiving. Oh, we know. We know where we're at and what we're dealing with. That's the whole point of being alive right now. Get a clue. We're alive. We're active. We're in the game. You folks are sitting on the sidelines trying to call plays, and you can't even fucking see, hear, or feel, let alone be on the field.
160 people watching us right now that have heard that for the first time that probably don't understand that.
I get it. A lot of people watch a couple of things on YouTube or a couple of things on Google, and they think they become a legal scholar.
Well, let's be honest. They watch Law and Order, and then they think they're experts on the law.
I can't watch Law and Order.
Me neither. It's actually painful to watch that sort of stuff.
It's entertainment. That's exactly
it is. It's meant for entertainment.
It's not.
Right? On the last case that was here, though, I just have a few other clarifications.
Listen, again, I'm not going to discuss on the record any other cases that are no longer.
No. This isn't in regards to another case. This is in regards to my case and what happened.
This case right here.
Yeah, in this case, right? Yeah.
Again, before you start discussing the facts of this case, I am going to caution you that you have the right
to
sign.
And I don't sign anything, so
yes. That's a copy of the.
Okay, appreciate that. And now is there?
So now I'm going to read into the record what the allegations are.
Okay.
All right. So it is alleged that on November the 17th, 2022, that you violated City Ordinance, Chapter 32, Article 2, Section 32-31, interfering with police authority, which states, it shall be unlawful for any person within the city to resist any police officer, any member of the police.
Right, you just stop him right there. There's 5 different ways to destroy this non-argument right now, presuming you even have to destroy it. Again, we could go with a simple, you're right, sir, I shall. Because we already did the shall thing. We already did the future tense. At some point in future time when New World Order is complete, we're going to write a code down and you're going to do everything we say. You're absolutely right. I don't deny that. It's probably going to happen shortly. But as of right now, that's not the case. It's not the America that we live on, right? So you're right. I shall. We're done. We're out. Like if you want to keep it as simple as possible. But it's like, again, there's 5 elements. How did this turn out? Did we get closure on this matter, so to speak? I know the other one was dismissed, right? Am I off on that?
Well, there's a lot of. I'll try to clarify it for you.
You got like 8 things going on at once. Is the bottom line, right?
Right. Well, there have been about 12 proceedings, and maybe, yeah. So they filed this case, right? They filed this case, and then they dismissed it after about 4 or 5 proceedings, and then they refiled it, and then that's when you've seen me just go, I was trying to be nice and polite, and now I'm just going balls to the walls with them because they're just not, they're trying to drag this out. So they dismissed the first case to refile to try to get 3 charges on me instead of just 1 count of police interference. They tried upping it to 3. So it's like basically what they did is they said, hey, we're doing malicious prosecution. So let's just stop with the malicious prosecution and then just triple down on malicious prosecution. Like, let's just go balls to the wall. Malicious prosecution on this guy. So that's where you see me.
Again, part of the problem is, and this is the hack in the monkey brain, is they're not doing anything to you. I know it seems like it. It feels like it when they put you in the box for 3 days before arraignment. It really seems like it. I know I've been there, but it's like they want the person. They're charging the person. You keep showing up as surety for the person. You're not making it clear you're not a surety for the person. They can call it sob sit mumbo jumbo and say, oh, that's a bunch of crap, whatever. I at least get it on record every time. They don't argue with me. I got to tell you, I've never had any of these administrators talk to me like I was a fucking moron. They never treat me like they do them guys on A&E. They either go, okay, noted, and move on, or they go, they don't even recognize it. They just let me say my piece, put it on record, give them the document, and then they move forward. And then however it fleshes out later administratively on the other side, contractually, they never get bond. They never get agreement. They never get signed contract. They have no delegation of authority. They have no contract with me in any state of, because I have no license and I have no cards. How can they get it? They can't produce a contract with any of the state of saying that I am compelled to follow their statute, policy, and code, which Cornell will tell you over and over again. I'll say it. Artie's bitch ass won't cop to it because you're a fucking lying coward scum. I'm so sick of you people. Right? Like, I have more respect for Slavin and the administration and them for being on the ground and being in the game and pimping and macking than you clowns sitting on the side rooting for them. Right? I at least respect them. They're part of the best game ever. They're going to get us so fucking right and tight. It's not even funny. You scum. I don't even know what your purpose is here in this realm at this time. You're just a fucking waste. I guess you only serve to be a detraction or a source of disempowerment for folks like me if we let you be, which would never happen because we just look at you and tell you're a powerless freak. You're a power-hungry, impotent freak. Means you're hungry for power, but at your core, at your root, who you are is powerless. Right? So you're really just more desperate and codependent and embarrassing than you are moving and convincing. But Peanut Power, you're wandering around the hospital like some kind of walking dead person. What is happening with you?
Would you say it's fair to say that when you think about the time that Vice did that hit piece on you, looking back, do you remember what was going on at that time? And do you think it's possible that they did that in desperation because you were actually making some headway, getting somewhere?
They didn't do the hit piece on me. They did the hit piece on what they consider to be an ideology that's going to shut their pimp and Mac game down forever, or at least
they attempted to do the hit piece on the good point.
Yeah, I get it because I said that, but just to be completely clear, I don't think that they have it in for me specifically. I think that God favors my undertakings, as they like to say on the dollar bill. He, she, it favors our undertakings, right? It's like, this is how it works, dude. Like, I had a guy yesterday go, the Illuminati's made up. I think it was one of these retards on here, JG or someone. It's all made up. No, it's not. There's such a thing as being illuminated. There's such a thing as being enlightened. There's such a thing as working in trust and honor and equity. And I know all this, and faith, and actually having the thing favor your undertakings till you decide to run with that and make it all about you. Then you lose. That's the game. These people at some point became aware of God. They had a great work they were doing, and it just became all about them and them getting power and them getting money and fucking bitches and all the rest of it, like it always becomes. That's when everyone loses. This is a genuine macro-micro journey, right? It's holographic. Each being is on a journey to enlightenment. Collectively, we're on a journey to enlightenment. Once you get knowledge of God and certain level of self and the truth, it's a slippery slope from doing the will versus doing your own will. I would know, and I have to watch it constantly and check it because I start thinking, motherfucker, you can't do nothing to me. That's a scary place to get to. When you go from scared of the system, thinking they have all the power, to, I dare you to do something to me long term because I don't think you got it. That's a scary place to come to. You don't want to play on that level of ego.
Yeah.
Because literally, as I've walked through this, God just keeps showing me, Paulie boy, you're untouchable. And that scares the shit out of you. It empowers you, but it scares the shit out of you because now you start acting up more. You start going, what are you going to do to me? I'm going to say and do whatever the fuck I want. You push that line far enough, and they're going to show you what the fuck they could do physically as a fraternity, as a world order here. You're not above it. right? So you got to remain humble with some level of humility and some meekness before the creational force, and understand that this is a fucking game and the consequences are real. So just play right. Just do the right thing, surrender the rest, and try to keep your fucking ego and pride in check for your own good, right?
Yes. Hey, and I just have to mention this before, because I'm gonna hop down. My battery's getting low. But look in that video. It may have just escaped everybody, but they handed me what they called the factual evidence of jurisdiction when they called me crazy for asking for that. They handed it to me right there in that video. You saw them hand me what they said was the factual evidence of jurisdiction. So the good question now is why was I called crazy for asking for that at the previous proceeding? And then
because they're gaslighting you. Because they were gaslighting you, just like a bad partner will do until you call them on it. And they realize you're not going to move on it. So then they go, you know what? Maybe you're not crazy. Let me find a different way to try to manipulate if possible, or let me just cop to it. Yeah, I was gaslighting. And do me a favor, bro. When you see this dumb, goofy bitch down there who can't get off my nuts every day, could you get the fuck rid of her? I don't want to look at that bitch. She's got some nerve coming here telling me about how no woman's going to touch me because I'm untouchable. You dirty bitch. I wouldn't let you touch me or get near me. You think I would soil my spiritual beingness with your presentment, with your incarnation? You think that I would risk destroying who and what I am or altering that position, laying down or getting near a scum like you? You got the wrong one with me. These dirty Jezebel harlot bitches of Babylon think they're going to talk to me like they talk to their beta boys at the bar. You couldn't fuck me if you tried because I wouldn't let you. You don't get it. You guys don't get it. You can't flip the script on me. Save that shit for your little boy toys and bozos who buy into that shit. You ain't nothing. You're a cheap whore. And you want to come here and talk to me like you're something I want? Or something that's going to benefit me? I am the catch for someone like you. I could wake you up and put you on a course to change your life. You're too much of a dumb, broken, goofy bitch to see it. So get gone. Because there ain't nothing for you to do with someone like me. I don't want nothing to do with you. You're not even a good fuck toy. You want me to speak frank and go low-level conscious as possible? Half you dirty bitches aren't even good fuck toys. You don't even fuck good. So what are we going to do together exactly? What do I want and need from you? Especially when I'm not walking a walk at this point of just using another human being like a fuck toy. You ain't even that. I'll go get one of them AI robots that's got code running through it. It could probably fuck better than you dead fish broken hoe. Your thoughts, expert panel?
Yeah,
they're very confused, gone. These people that come here. They're very confused about who they are and who I am and what we're here to do and be, it seems. You're the loser failure who has no face, no identity, and no voice. I'm him at this point. I am that am. You have no business coming here and even attempting to play your bullshit power games with something like me. It's beyond embarrassing for you.
Hey, whose idea was it, by the way, to make you Andrew Huberman on that thumbnail the other day?
That's fucking OTW. I don't even know these people. He's hitting me with these fucking...
I was watching before he got like super big, and now he's fucking huge.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, bro. I don't know 3/4 of these people. Everyone acts like I'm supposed to know them. Like I go, and then they go, there he goes, being egotistical. How's it being egotistical as a man asking why I should know another man who hadn't done shit? How is that egotistical? I even come up here and say the only reason anyone knows me for anything is because I put my fucking balls on the line over and over again to do what's true and what's right. What the majority won't do. It's the only reason you know of me. If I didn't do that, I'd be just another jerk off online, like the majority of them. So it's like they go, stop being, it's not egotistical as a confident, faithful man in truth to ask, why would I know any of these loser, failure, fraud-like clowns when they haven't done shit yet? Haven't been nothing, haven't stood for nothing, haven't communicated anything that's moving or honorable or truthful or compassionate with passion? What would I know them for? Because what? Because 10 million other jerk-offs get online and watch them? You think that they're part of my world? It's a wonder I even know who Joe Rogan is. It's almost impossible to not know who he is. And I'll ask again, who is he and what the fuck has he done? And the answer is nothing. Nothing, ultimately. When he's dead and buried 100 years from now, he'll be known for doing and being nothing other than another empty suit cage fighter. Douchey frat boy, low consciousness being who does a broadcast about nothingness. Bunch of interesting, non-interesting factoids. Look at this guy and what he does. Look at that guy. This guy collects mushrooms. This guy sees airplanes and aliens in the sky. Now what? Fuck slave? I'm desperately waiting for Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, any one of them. Pick someone. I'm desperately waiting for one of these fucking cowards to put their ass on the line truly and actually do and be something here. Look at where you're walking. Like, just keep walking back and forth in that hall and you get a vibe of what I'm talking about. Just look at them. Look at the broken look in their faces. Look at the just conceited, the concession body language. This is the submissive, broken, given up body language, or the pretentious, self-important body language, like you're doing something. What are you all doing there? The majority of what goes on in these places with these people is a huge fucking waste of time. Just call it what it is. You should see these people over here. Dozens of agents riding up and down the road, hotels full of them, to do nothing. To just march around and seem important and actually do little to nothing.
And get paid pretty decent for it too. Get paid pretty decent for it too as well.
Yeah, and that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. We get paid. They think that means something to someone like me. They say that, and I bow my head and I walk off in disgust. They go, "You're such a fucking loser." They all think there's power in that, right? I'm in the store the other day. The guy comes up, "I got the best job ever." He's got a high visibility vest on. He's working to put up 5G towers. Right? I've heard that a handful of times at the weed stores and other places. These guys come rolling in like once every 6 months. We got the best job ever. They got to tell, all these loser failures got to tell everyone they make $50 to $100 an hour to be part of making their own slavery. And they go, "It pays great and we get to do little to nothing." I go, "Oh, aren't you lighting the world on fire, huh? Champ. Aren't you just going to be remembered for something in this life?" I could just feel and see your legacy being passed down. Beyond embarrassing. God forbid you bring up rights, freedom, principles around them too. They get a look in their eye like you just talked about joining Bohemian Grove or something. You know, you just talked about fucking a dog or something. Like, you know, you just killed a child in front of them. You know, we don't want to hear go away with all that. Yeah, I made a real estate guy. He's talking. He's dancing around rights, freedom, and principles. So I go right at it. He goes, "Yeah, okay." Walks off, right? Soon as you just go right at it and address it with him, they show their fucking lukewarm cowardice. Because he's got another piece of property to sell. He gets paid pretty well to walk around all day and do little to nothing. And then you ask them 5 questions about the property. They don't know anything. Because why should they? We don't give a fuck about our job, really. We don't care about you and what's true and what's right. We don't care about doing service on any level. We're just here to collect a fucking check and do as least as possible. That's the new American way. And they can't all figure out why nothing works anymore. Everything's completely fucking bankrupt and cheap and breaks. Doesn't work correctly or breaks as soon as you get it. Well, it's because no one gives a fuck anymore. It's not that hard to figure out. Because everyone got paid pretty damn well to do as least as possible and sell their fucking soul and look the other way when they see wrongdoing happening. That's all it amounted to. You guys weren't paid because you're so great at what you do. You're high paid because you're willing to look the other way when wrong is done. Dummies. You think there's somebody. Look how much I get paid. You get paid what you think is high, which is actually a really low price for selling your soul and looking the other way when wrong shit's happening all around you. And you think you've arrived.
Yeah, again, doctors don't take a Hippocratic oath. Doctors take a hypocritic oath.
Right.
In reality. Let's be
Absolutely.
really real about it.
Well, they all do that. They're all tasked to serve. They're all paid handsomely to serve. And instead of serving and doing what's true and what's right, they get paid to look the other way and not talk about the evil. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. 12 monkeys in the garden.
That's why I was showing the vow of silence symbolism to show all around the hospital.
Then they
Right
get
in your face.
offended, right? I was talking to one of these prosecutors, and you could tell in her voice, they get offended because they go, yeah, this world's kind of shady, right? It's like it's not kind of anything. You're kind of a fucking coward because you're knee deep in it and you know it's bad and wrong and you won't come the fuck out of it because you're too scared you're going to actually have to work for a motherfucking living. Wow. Because it's just too easy to get a big check nowadays from just turning the other way, filling a position, and not talking about the evil you witness. It's way too profitable. Why should I go actually fucking work hard and serve something day in and day out with no promises? Like Paulie Boy, he's such an idiot. Why would he do a broadcast 500 days straight, put his whole fucking heart into it, almost kill himself, yelling and screaming every day with nothing promised? Boy, is he a dumbass, right? We just sit around with clipboards and we just got another $100,000 this year. We just got another 200,000 this year. Boy, is he a fucking dummy, huh? They just don't get what's going on here, the difference, right? I get it from their point of view, what they see and what they think they know. Makes sense to that low level consciousness till you see the rest of the story, till you see the price and the final cost and what it's going to do to you from the inside out and what it's going to do to you from the outside in. That's the thing they won't get till they're real close to death. Why the fuck we've been living on two different tracks of reality this whole time.
Yeah, I've definitely
Your
gotten
thoughts,
comfortable with the
Jefferson?
uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, dude, we're here. You know, it's not going away. It's probably only going to get worse. And I'm not going to use that as an excuse to not be my best. Matter of fact, that's what I use as motivation to be my best. The fact that it's all going to get worse. What the fuck do I have to lose? I'm going to rise and shine. I'm going to stand up and step out because all you could do is try to hammer me back into place. If I stay in place, it's only getting worse anyway. More reason for me to step up and stand out. See how that works? I ain't victiming. I ain't blaming nobody. I ain't trying to disempower myself or anyone else because I believe it's only going to get worse. I'm only going to get better because I got nothing to fucking lose and everything to gain as a man, as a spiritual being. You want to tell me about ego? The Tao will tell you 1,000 years before Christ. The compassionate man who lives in the way looks down upon the dwellers who live low to the land. It's metaphorical, metaphysical, and also biological and physical. We're drawn to the higher places like the mountains, while you slaves want to live low. Every aspect and fashion of your beingness. I don't look down from an egotistical, prideful perspective. I look down in shame, in regret that we could have and be so much more. And this is what they're going to accept for themselves and each other. Like a father would look down on their son. It's not from hate. It's not from ego. It's not from pride. It's from witnessing the potential that's being squandered. Get it right. Maybe I've given them too much credit. Sometimes when you have children in this life, you got to know enough to when to know to check the fuck out and say, this is a loser. It's redeemable, but it's going nowhere because it doesn't want it. So until it wants it, don't put any faith or hope into a being for whom there is no self-salvation in truth. Till they want it, they're a waste of time, energy, and attention. You can't love them. You can't speak life into them. You can't try to nurture their potential because they don't want to do and be and have better. They're content with their slavery and their sickness. That's one of the most difficult things to cognize and reconcile in this life. I can't imagine what my father used to go through, watching me shoot heroin into myself, run around the streets. And again, I could talk about how I don't understand it because you would think he would be more nurturing to me and my talents and abilities and speak that life into me. But I'm not going to play the victim, right? The other side of it is I can't imagine what he must have felt, regardless of what his role in it was, to watch me doing what I was doing with my talents and abilities and supposed intelligence, destroying myself, just completely directionless, purposeless, meaningless, wicked in my own way. It's like, at some point you go, I may be fucked up and I don't have it all together, far from it, but you have so much potential and opportunity. Why this? I guess one follows the other, doesn't it? Most of these folks feel rejected and outcast and destroyed by their families and by the society subconsciously. They're not going to consciously say that. They'll say, I'm crazy. They'll say, Paul, you're projecting onto us. We had a great childhood. We had a great upbringing. Our family's just fine. We all work. We're successful. It's just fine. Everything's great. And then you peel back the recesses into the subconscious mind that lead to the conscious choices, voting for slavery, taxes for slavery, supporting the slavery, laughing and giggling while someone like myself gets dragged off because who gives a fuck? It didn't happen to me. We're good slaves. We followed orders. Being like that can't be okay. That's what you guys don't get. Doesn't matter how many of them have the smile and put the look on and seem like they have some light in their eyes and like they're still human. You can't actually love and care for yourself and be a functional human being and be part of this sick society and be well adjusted to it for profit. It's not possible. They think because they meet a man or a woman who smells good and looks good and is attractive and works out at the gym that they've got their shit together, that they know themselves. You don't. You can't be part of this sick system doing what it does and be a functional, healthy being inside and out, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Not fucking possible. And I would love for someone to prove me wrong factually. And you can do that just simply anecdotally. It doesn't have to be objectively proven. Just tell me who and what you are. Come up here. Tell me what you do for a living. I'd love for someone to prove me wrong. Tell me what institution you work for, how happy you are, how successful you are, how great your life and family is, and what you do day to day and what you're a part of. I want someone to prove me wrong. I'm not looking to do echo chamber validations of invalidated concepts here. I want the opposite. Because I'm egotistical and narcissistic. I'm traumatized, broken, and wounded, attempting to heal, but I'm really projecting, is what they'll say. So get up here. All you frontliners, heroes, police enforcers, doctors, lawyers, get the fuck up here. Tell me who and what you are, what you do. Describe your upbringing in your life and tell me what you're a part of. Prove me wrong. You can't do it. You already know you can't do it. So you snicker and laugh and giggle and go back to your fucking lifestyle as if that means anything. Your thoughts, Jefferson? Doing a lot of screaming and yelling here. The woman yesterday says she doesn't understand why I do this much talking. It's part of broadcasting, but I guess we could do moments of silence if you guys would like. I'm into that.
Why does Women's Rights 365, aka probably Wizard, under a sock account? I think I'll be kicked out of the hospital for recording. What are they going to say? All right.
So someone's encouraging you to be fearful now about recording?
I guess so. Women's Rights 365. You know the name that's ever been in chat?
Nobody gives a fuck about women's rights because women's rights are people's rights. Just by choosing that name, I know you're a fucktard. Either that or you're someone pretending to be one. Upon analysis and revelation, we would probably reveal you're less pretending than you are actually it. Women's rights, you fucking moron. Women have more rights than everyone here at this point. Have you not noticed? Women can pretty much do whatever the fuck they want, including kill their own children and never go to jail. I get arrested 3 times a year just fucking walking down the street. Give me a break with the women's rights nonsense. Gotta be a troll. Gotta be someone who knows just by making that name they're gonna get me to go off. Whatever. Build another 30 seconds. I got to do a 3-hour broadcast. It's my non-negotiable till I decide to change that. So you help me out there by making a completely retarded name and just displaying it and showing me why we're all in slavery once again. Because you think there's a difference between people's rights, men's rights, women's rights, blacks' rights, as if we haven't turned the corner. Women have more rights than anybody at this point.
Speaking of women and turning the corner, though, it looks like Daisy's getting a little sense of humor about her. She's claiming ownership of the sock account. So,
Yeah, okay, whatever.
It's good to see. It's good
Daisy
to see.
needs to suck some more dick, specifically mine.
That's true.
She'll fucking loosen up a bit. That's true.
That is true.
She'll fucking loosen up a bit, okay? A lot of these middle-aged broads, they need a good dicking. Good dicking
Dude, it's
down.
so hard, man, because like there's so many there's so many, just seem to be beautiful women that come here, but then you see them.
Please, these women are completely traumatized and broken. They're nothing but a problem and a hassle in a man like me's life. As much as I would like it to be different than that,
the redeemable
exactly
ones.
what it is with the majority of them.
It's easy to pick the redeemable ones from the ones who are clearly gone. I mean, the ones who you can see their face versus.
Please, you're simped out, bro. I watch what you do. I watch what you do. I watch the broken women who play with you and simp and hit on you, and you play back with them. How are you going to help redeem them when they're already tricking on you, reverse pimping on you, dick teasing on you? If you were smart, I mean, again, you're a young guy. I told you, you're a good-looking kid. You're in decent shape. It's just the fact that you're seemingly unemployable that's kind of your only drawback, right? Like, you correct that. You don't even give these bitches the time of day. They want to dick tease and play with you. See, they're doing that because they see that broken side of you. I've told you this before. You don't want to accept it. These girls, not women, because women don't do that. These broken girls who want to be your friend and dick tease on you, that's disrespectful, right? That's what a lot of these broken bitches don't understand. To a man who lives like I do, it's disrespectful, right? Stop with the emojis. Stop with the dick teasing. If you ain't going to come suck this fucking pipe, then you talk to me with some fucking respect. You talk to me like we're grown adults. Hi and bye. And can we talk about truth and rights and freedoms? And we talk like grown people. Don't start with the cute little faces and the dick teasing and the rest of it so you can fucking reverse pimp and mac and play games. It's not respectable. It's not honorable, and it's fucking embarrassing. 3/4 of you bitches in another 10 to 15 years are going to be begging to give out naked pictures like Lindsay. Get a clue. These motherfuckers have no self-awareness. It's incredible. They're sitting there holding back like they got the best pussy in the world. 10 to 15 years from now, they're going to be begging Slow State to take naked pictures like Lindsay. Get a clue. Find a middle ground. The Tao is the middle way. I didn't tell you to go out and be a hoe. I didn't tell you to sit at home and be a librarian. Because you're fucking traumatized and you're scared to let that pussy go because of what another bozo's going to do to your heart. Get some fucking discernment and realize who to do what with, when, why, and how. Sometime this century. You want to tell me about attractive women? Yeah, they're a dime a dozen. Physically attractive women who can't get themselves in alignment with some level of process and procedure to manifest a functional relationship with the opposite sex. You got too much overlay. Beliefs, ideology, trauma, dogma, nonsense.
They gotta fucking respect men who have discernment.
Pipe up, man. I can't hear you.
I gotta fucking go.
Hey, Paul, I was saying they gotta respect men of discernment and not fear them.
Yeah, it starts with respecting yourself. And no, that doesn't mean the absence of sexuality. There's nothing necessarily disrespectful or perverted about a healthy sexuality. Yeah, a man at this point who is not looking to exclusively control and dominate, manipulate a woman is overjoyed when he meets a woman with a healthy fucking sex drive who's not traumatized and disturbed. And maybe not even like vaxxed the fuck out. Because half these women, if they do have a healthy sex drive, they're vaxxed the fuck out and on Concerta and Seroquel and whatever the fuck else that they're putting up their cervix. What's that other shit that they put in their vagina that gives them cancer, allegedly? Yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. You meet a woman who's somewhat pure, has discernment, and is somewhat attractive and not on the fucking vax. She's completely destroyed and traumatized. The majority of them doesn't even want to date because of how she's been used and abused and lied to by the scum who you see on these panels. It's obvious who does what just by looking at them, right? Then you meet the ones who are open, who have a sex drive, who want to co-create, and they're on fucking drugs and alcohol. They're vaxxed the fuck out. They got little spike mutants jumping out of their vagina. like the Mucinex commercial. Yeah, you can't find a middle ground with the majority of these motherfuckers. It's incredible. Being
forget their
somewhat of a
little fucking-
discerning man and wanting to have a family and children at this point and being a part of this dating pool is beyond shocking. Especially if you're not the best looking, richest guy like me. Oh, it'll send you for a hell of a loop. You know, you got to be a man of faith for this shit.
Oh yeah, you need faith, brother. You need that shit nowadays.
I thought Daisy was behaving lately. In comparison to what? Relative to what exactly? Like, who knows if she's behaving or not? That's up to her and God, I guess. Oh man, what a life, huh? I just went on a completely, I'm sure, politically incorrect, misogynistic rant, chauvinist rant, because I have mommy issues. That's all it amounts to, right? I just projected all my pain and confusion and disconnection with women, when really it's me, right? These are very attractive, loving, co-creative, empathic, intuitive women. I'm the broken narcissist. I just want to own that before it just circles back and gets put back on me. I'm just owning it out right now. I've learned. The internet has taught me. The internet has gaslit me to a point where it works for me, right? Like I accept it. Okay, that's what I am, right? Someone will love me one day, other than just Jennifer. Jennifer's taking pity on me, right? She pities me. She's like, someone's got to love this guy. I guess I'll do it. Someone will bear children though for me one day. Someone will accept my egotism, my pride, my narcissism, and my good humor. You got to have a good humor about your narcissism if you're going to be a narcissist. It's the only way to get through the day. All right, let's go back to the docket. I don't even know where I am. Well, I swear I do this every time. I can never get through anything. I'm going to shut up. We got another 10, 15 minutes with Lantow. And I want to see how this goes. I shouldn't even cut the clip off. I should learn by now. Clip, speak. Don't even pause the clip. Because you're going to go off for 30 minutes, come back to it. I don't even know where we are. Does anyone know where we are? Does it even matter at this point? God, this is a hell of a meeting.
Any person duly empowered with police authority while in the discharge or apparent discharge of their police authority duty, or in any way to interfere with or hinder the police officer or member of the police department in the discharge of the police authority duty.
And just a quick objection, just a point of clarification.
There's no objection to that because that's just that is the ordinance.
Okay, if you're just reading it into the record, I understand.
The ordinance.
Yeah, I just want to know what in any way in this chart. What does in any way?
Again, I can't answer that question because for me to answer that question would be giving you legal advice. If you want to file a motion, you can more than welcome to file a motion.
Yeah, because in any way seems awfully vague and it seems obtuse and it seems like it's just
These are
impossible
all
to.
great things that somebody might want to argue in a motion.
Yeah, it seems impossible to determine what in any way.
But if you could, please don't interrupt me until I get down to the bottom here because I want to let you know exactly what the allegations are against you from a factual basis. These are the reasons that the warrant was signed, because I found that there was probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause that you were the one who committed the crime. Hence why the warrant was placed into existence in the first place. It is alleged that on the above listed date, which was the 11/17 of 22, at approximately 2:50 p.m., you, the defendant, Mr. Lanto, engaged in a repeated course of conduct to interfere with Officer Andrew Borg's discharge of his authorized duties, which include traffic enforcement on South Telegraph Road near Ecorse Road in the city of Taylor. You, Mr. Lanto, allegedly had unlawful actions, including following Officer Borg on multiple traffic stops, approaching the traffic stops in close proximity to Officer Borg and his vehicle and the drivers, yelling obscenities and insults at Officer Borg, and video recording Officer Borg while inside of his patrol vehicle while he was accessing protected lien information concerning the drivers that were pulled over. It's also alleged, Mr. Lanto, you were ultimately arrested after Officer David Jones witnessed you walking within close proximity to Officer Borg's vehicle during a traffic stop and attempting to video record Officer Borg while he was inside his patrol vehicle accessing lien information about the driver. In count one, more specifically, in count one, the violation of section 32-31, interfering with the police authority, you, Mr. Lanto, the defendant, allegedly approached the traffic stop at approximately 3:04 p.m. and interfered with Officer Borg by being in close proximity to Officer Borg, his patrol vehicle, and the pulled over driver in the center median of Telegraph Road, and yelling and hurling insults and obscenities while Officer Borg was discharging his police authority duty. In count 2, violation of section 32-31, interfering with police authority. You, the defendant, Mr. Ranto, allegedly approached the traffic stop at approximately 3:12 p.m. and interfered with Officer Borg by being in close proximity to Officer Borg, his patrol vehicle, his patrol car, and the pulled over driver, the parking lot of the Tropical Smoothie Cafe, and yelling and hurling insults and obscenities while Officer Borg was discharging his police authority duty. In count 3, it is alleged a violation of section 32-31, interfering with a police officer. That you, the defendant, Mr. Lanto, allegedly approached the traffic stop at approximately 3:31 p.m. and interfered with Officer Borg by being in close proximity to Officer Borg, his patrol car, and the holdover driver in a parking lot on South Telegraph Road, and attempting to video record Officer Borg while he was inside of his vehicle, accessing leading information about the driver, and otherwise discharging his police authority. Again, those are misdemeanors punishable by 93 days in jail and up to $500 in fines. Those are the factual basis which gave rise to probable cause to execute this warrant, and now is being charged against you. Again, you have the right to remain silent. Again, you have the right to have counsel. Given time, you're choosing today. As to those charges and the allegations, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or you stand mute?
Well, I have to make a few clarifications before I make an informed.
This isn't a matter of clarifications. This is you either pleading guilty, not guilty, or standing mute.
Well, I was told I have the right to be informed of the cause and the nature of the charge. You just read this into the record, and all it did was confuse.
I did.
So, because we have right in here.
Look at this fucking pathetic. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. Can someone go get this Gardner guy so I can lambast him openly in public? He keeps posting these subtitles. But Mr. Lantow just doesn't get the court's not a free forum of therapy. Asswipe. When man and woman shows up to that court, we're the only being in there that can actually move it. If we want to sit there all fucking day and ask questions, that's what we will do. Because everyone else in the room is an actor, civil servant. There's only one man or woman in each one of those rooms at a time. We don't bend for you. You bend for us. You guys are paid exorbitant amounts to be available and ready for when we show up to perform for us. They're so down the line of mind and heart control. We think court is therapy because we're asking questions and we're going to decide when that court's going to move or not based on the proper process and procedure and elements of court. No, they actually support the Stockholm Syndrome slaves, a court process where you just come in, you sign the paper, they tell you what's going to happen, they push you out the door, they put you in a fucking cell, and everyone has to follow 11.5 million statutes, policy, and code. You people are sick freaks. You're anti-human is what you need to get. We're the humans in this story, like it's like some movie. We're the humans who can still see and feel. You folks are all bored the fuck out. And you think it's funny that we're like having some human element and compassion and care for truth. You're like, this isn't how it's supposed to go. Just get in there and push them through the assembly line and beat on them on the way through. And you think that's normal court procedure. It's beyond it. They want to tell me it's sensationalizing Nazism in the Third Reich. We're there. We're already beyond it. Your own goddamn friends and family and coworkers will say you're an asshole when you want rights and the law upheld and dare to ask questions at court. You're supposed to shut up, keep your fucking head down, give them thousands of dollars to let a corporate slave talk for you, and then be lucky if they don't give you a year in fucking jail. Sick freaks.
That Officer Bolt, or I was told
Listen,
everything
I'm
was
not-
close proximity of
Sure.
Officer Bolt.
I'm not
What
going to
is-
get
what
into
is
the
close
particulars.
proximity?
Listen, I'm not going to get into the particulars. This isn't the trial. This is nobody's sworn in under oath. There's a subject to cross-examination by both sides. That's what trials are for.
Okay,
That's what trials are for.
before I make
This
an
is just these things. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds to either choose guilty, not guilty, or just don't say anything. Or if you're not responsive, then I'll just enter a plea of not guilty so that your not guilty status is preserved and your constitutional rights preserved there as well.
Well,
So how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty?
I object for clarification.
Sure. Guilty or not guilty?
Well, I object to that because I can't make an informed decision.
All right, then I'm
Unless I have- unless I have
gonna enter a plea of
discovery, yeah.
not guilty on your behalf. So you're still not guilty on your behalf, and they have the
Well,
right
and
to.
then just let the record show I do not want a plea being made for me. You understand why I have to
There's
say that on the record.
there's no choice in that. I'm procedurally required to move forward by doing one of the three. So,
Well, I was told when it pertains to this case at the last proceeding that was here, and I don't know who you had stand in for you.
I don't pick.
And it was a bald guy,
My
he
father
looked like a
passed
mob
away.
boss.
So my father passed away, and I had to not be here, so.
Yeah, and he ordered me in here in person, said he was gonna have somebody watch over me, which sounded like a veiled.
No.
Yeah, that's probably why Slavin has such a change of tone, because my daddy passed. Once these good old boys' daddy passes away, they start rethinking about what they were supposed to learn coming up from them that maybe they didn't. Or maybe they did and they just forgot about it because life took over. That's why the tone changes, because death is the all-obviating process, the all-obviating ego-checking process. Now they want to come in with a different tone. Now you want to start to address people as if they're people and not just your fucking assembly line of slaves you can beat and whip on and extort money from. This is why I say, you fucking slaves are going to get everything you need here, if not in this life, in the next life. This is what I love about this incarnation conscious and awareness process. You think I need to argue with you? You think I need to prove anything to you? I've come to this understanding the same way you will. Probably a little bit too late. Better late than never, though, I guess.
Yep.
So
You're going to have to suffer more. That's the path to
Well,
enlightenment.
if it's true that he
Self-chosen
did
suffering.
that, would you perceive that as a
Corruption.
veiled threat?
I'm not gonna answer that question, sir, because it's not the time or the
Yeah.
place for it. No notice has been given any due
Well,
time
this-
notice of anybody, and nobody's been advised in the premises of any of that information, so, again.
Well, I have the video if you'd like to watch it. He ordered me in here in person, said he was gonna
Today's
have.
the date time set for an arraignment.
Yeah.
Today's the date and time set for the arraignment.
Well, I'm just saying,
That's all we're doing today is the arraignment. And it's also set for a pretrial. So you have the opportunity to speak now that you've been advised in the premises of what you've been charged with. I've entered a plea of not guilty for you. Would you like to speak with Mr. Greco about any potential resolution?
there were a few key things
Would
that
you
were
like to
said.
speak with Mr. Greco about any potential resolution?
Well, can I just make a clarification on the record?
I don't know what more you're going to clarify. Today's purpose of today is for me to inform you of what you've been charged with.
I
I have
understand.
done that.
I
And
understand.
now
But when
I
you
have
have
other
that,
cases that I need to get to. This is why cases are scheduled in certain ways and with
well, I'd be
regard
happy to be
certain
the last
stuff.
case called today so we can
What's that?
properly, clarify a couple things. I'd be happy to be the last case called so we can properly clarify a few
Well,
things.
first off, there's nothing to clarify. I've told
But
you
there
what
are.
I've been charged with. There's not. So I'm going to ask you right now to either talk with Mr. Greco and have a pretrial discussion with him. You're more than welcome to do that.
Could I just tell you what was said on the record?
Your Honor,
The last case,
The last proceeding,
in regards to this case.
in regards to this case, because
Right. So then that's when they tried this game with me, Colorado. It was very quick. I said, whoever Mr. Such and Such, as you keep calling him, can I get the first or given name, family name? John Jones. Okay. If John, you keep calling him the prosecutor, I don't know what this game is you're doing. You're acting as something else. If John wants to speak to me about resolution, absolutely I'm available to resolve. The problem is we're not going to be able to resolve because John, Mr. Greco there, is most likely dishonorable in bad faith. He doesn't actually have any firsthand knowledge of a wrong done. He can't actually resolve with you honorably on the record because he was not the injured party. He was not the party present when the matter took place. So while I'm open to, because then they'll say you're in dishonor, you're failing to resolve in the private, you're bringing your private grievances into the public and using expenditures of taxpayer money. This is the game they're playing. So I go, I don't know this man. I've never seen him before in my life. If he says I've done wrong, well, just let him swear in, give testimony of the wrong I've done. I'll tell him, or maybe not even say anything at all and just pay him. Absolutely, I'll resolve with Mr. Greco. No problem. The only problem's going to be that he wasn't present, has no firsthand knowledge, and can't resolve honorably in good faith. That's the small yet huge problem we're going to have here, because you guys are doing what some might say. I won't ever say it on record as much as I can avoid it, right? Like, I do an entertainment broadcast. Sometimes I expound and I get a little bit wily. I don't exactly say completely what I mean, but I won't ever say completely what I believe it to be at times, because I have no proof of that. I can't prove that every one of these court personnel is potentially dishonorable. They may know something I don't. So I just go, I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be honorable in good faith. Absolutely, I'll settle with any man or woman who's present at court today. Just let them come forward and give me the bill and show me what the loss, injury, or harm, or the wrong that I've done. And obviously, if you can't do that, well, then I don't think we can settle. So we're going to have to go to trial. And then you're going to have to establish how Mr. Greco here has any interest in this matter, has any standing in this matter. He wasn't present. He has no firsthand knowledge. I was. He had no loss, injury, or harm done to him, or debt that's owed. I do and have. So I've not given up my status and standing and interest in this matter and equity in this matter. These beings don't have any interest in equity and standing in these matters because they weren't present when the matter took place, and they can't honorably in good faith resolve. And instead of you folks just turning to the man or woman and saying, I love you, God loves you, can we please settle this matter here today? And let them hang themselves by just simply pointing out they can't settle after they say whatever they're going to say, which is a bunch of nonsense. It's like real simple. We're not even playing dumb. We're actually speaking how dumb this is. I don't know you, sir. I've never met you before in my life. Did I back into your mailbox and not know about it? Well, if not, how can I settle with you? Are you claiming that I did a wrong that I didn't do? Are you claiming that I broke something I didn't break? Are you claiming I have a contract with you, owe you a debt when I don't? Seems a little suspicious, as Ray Lyman would say. It's a little suspicious. So I don't know. Like, once we're at that point, it's like foundations of court. It's like ABC. We don't have ABC elements. I can't see how we're going to move this forward. But hey, I'd love to see you try it. Let's go. I'd love to see who's going to come in and move this case with no legitimacy and no firsthand knowledge. Right? And ultimately, I just sit back and go, okay, guys, put on your performance. You guys are all state actors. So just say whatever you want, do whatever you want, pile 15,000 charges on there. By the end of this, I didn't do any loss, injury, and harm. I'm not going to argue with you and show I'm dishonorable, bad faith. I've already said I'll settle any debts. What are we doing here? This is just like some long, drawn-out, expensive process for you to like pretend I'm bad and wrong and then whip me 10 times harder because I wouldn't just in the beginning go, hey, I'm bad and wrong, and let me just give you an arbitrary amount of money that you guys say, money, non-money. I mean, that might be an interesting fucking way to go about it too. Instead of doing this process, the new way to go in is just go, yeah, I must be guilty of all of it. I don't understand you guys' this system. I don't need the attorney. There's 11.5 million statutes, policies, and codes. The man did the study. He said the average person commits up to 4 felonies a day unknowingly. So why would I argue with them? You guys wrote so many codes. My mere existence is bound to be illegal. I'm guilty. I did 10 illegal things today. Now could you just bring the man or woman in to hand me the fucking bill on how much I'm going to have to pay? Oh, there isn't any? So where are we going with this? That's where everyone just goes silent, or they all just like they start shuffling and rustling papers because they realize, oh man, the guy can see and hear and feel and realizes the foundations of court and law and understands that this is completely what some folks might say to be fraudulent and bad faith. I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't.
The judge said on the record that he was powerless to make Mr. Greco provide anything regarding factual evidence jurisdiction.
Until the arraignment kicks in, yes, they're not going to be, because the case doesn't start until it's actually you've been told what you're being charged with.
Right, because he said he can't make him produce a factual evidence jurisdiction. That's what
right, because Slavin just admitted without admitting what he just lied about or wasn't clear about. He's not lying. He's just not being as clear as he could be. Some folks would say that's lying by omission. Not Slavin in the legal society. They didn't lie directly. They just didn't tell you the whole story. Oh, once the arraignment kicks in, you mean once you establish jurisdiction and now can order everyone around the room? Is that what you mean? That already kicks in once Mr. Greco became a state actor along with you. You're all bound by the state codes, policies, procedures. I'm not. That's the best part about this. You're subject to the Constitution. You're bound by it. I'm a man, the closest thing to God in this realm, what you serve. So unless I've done wrong, you have no status and standing here equal to or beyond the man and woman you serve. That makes me king of this court. Foundationally, conceptually, this is what the frauditards can't understand, who keep making channels about how dumb we all are. They don't understand the foundations of law and order and the philosophy and how courting and king works and how a government, a republic of and by and for the people works. And the more you just don't understand it and won't live on it, it's going away. We're going into complete demosocracy. Mob rule. State actors and morons are going to rule over everyone with code and policy because you folks just won't own the position. You won't stand on your square, to use a Masonic term.
I wasn't there and I wasn't the judge. What I'm telling you is this. I have told you exactly what you're being charged with. There is an order in here for discovery. If you want an order for discovery, if you want to get a chance to have discovery, absolutely. If there's anything that's out there.
Yeah, that's why Slavin's being so patient with Mr. Lantow, because he hasn't established jurisdiction. Bet your sweet ass if he'd established jurisdiction, he'd tell him, shut the fuck up, sit down, or I'm putting your bitch ass in contempt. A, his daddy died, so he's being a bit reflective. B, he hasn't achieved jurisdiction. So once arraignment kicks in, once we rein you in and establish you don't believe you have natural rights and that we can order you around, we're going to get to doing that like a broken hoe that you are. Till that happens, you're still considered a king at this court. You're equal to or beyond the elements of the court. Procedurally, conceptually. Right, it's not crazy. It's pimping and hoeing. The whole world is pimping and hoeing. They just don't know it. There's no other way to see it. I've dealt with all the administrators. They never yell at me. They never get buck with me. They never get out of line because they never attain jurisdiction. And I talk to them. I get buck with them in the past, you could argue, because I've cut them off. I cut them right off and go, listen, no disrespect, but this is this and that's that. So let's just correct the words as we go along here. And I let them know, I'm not cutting you off out of disrespect. I'm stopping you because I'm not going to be forced to remember what you're saying. So if you take that as disrespect, then you produce a pen and paper for me because I'm going to write down what you're saying. And when you're done, I'm going to go back over word for word and point for point. And we're going to get an accurate understanding about what these words and terms mean. So I've cut them off on the microphone. I've talked over them. I've redirected the court in the conversation. I've never once had them scream and yell at me. I've never once had them tell me, shut up and sit down or anything like that, because I've never relinquished my status and standing in jurisdiction. The best they've done is act like they don't hear me and just move forward. And I'm cool with that. Let the record reflect this. Let it show that. Let it be shown and known that this person said this. And that's fine. Not a problem. They don't have to answer me. I'm not there to argue with them. Argue just means to make the facts clear and presently known. I could do that without anybody in the fucking room. Have you seen my broadcast?
This is like a movie, bro, because Slavin knows he has to rein him back in to get jurisdiction. He's talking like he knows. And she's like, I'll get you later, motherfucker. And it's just like...
Yeah, it's a game. They're playing a game.
It's a total
and
game.
It's just
And
that
then he
there's
knows
real consequences. You know, I mean, I just look at it as it's a really interesting, fun game where the consequences are real and you're going to learn to be an honorable, presentable man one way or the other, by hook or by crook, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. So, you know, such is life, man. It's basically a light-based game simulation where we make choices and then things happen and then we make choices again and we get results. It's one big video game. You know,
is there anything differently you would have done that Joshua has done in the court?
Think about it, bro. How are they going to make you guilty when you come in there and you're asking questions? Guilt is in your body language and the way you present. If you're not belligerent and combative and you're not like unreasonable and not making any sense, I come in, they go, this guy makes sense. He's speaking rather quickly. He's fluent in his understanding. He's speaking properly. What he's saying makes some level of sense. We have experience with this. This is not a dumb man. This is not a belligerent, combative man. This is a faithful man who believes he's doing what's true and correct and asking for someone to produce the corpus delicti, as they like to say, the body of evidence of the crime. What's the wrongdoing? That already communicates innocence or lack of guilt. People only get uppity and angry and want clarification when they're not guilty. When someone's guilty, they just put their fucking head down and go along because they already know they did wrong, like a child, like a dog does. So you better not get buck with me because I'm showing you right off the bat that I'm convicted. I didn't do no wrong. And if I did, then I'm willing to settle. Please fucking show me because I'm not a man who lives his life doing wrong and being okay with it. You come in with that presentment, that understanding, and you can speak properly. It's almost impossible for someone to play that pimp and mac and false strength game on you. They can try, but they already know where you're at. These people can read just like I can. You think I'm going to try to get buck with someone like Timmy or someone else who comes here that I could tell lives their life properly, doesn't do wrong, knows what the fuck they're talking about? I could try. I could pretend. We could go there. Ultimately, you think I'm going to be able to carry it over? It's going to really translate? No. Because you got to give me whatever the fuck I'm going to work with. If you don't, then I got nothing to work with. All I see is a good, honorable man trying to do his best and not doing any wrong and asking for clarification. How the fuck am I going to wrong him for that? How am I going to fault him for that? How am I going to disrespect him or charge him or convict him for that? Are you kidding me? You'd have to be the most corrupt, dishonorable piece of shit. I don't put it past many of them, but the majority of them are not like that, even if you think they're like that. Just like they'll say I'm like that because they don't know my heart. And they don't know the behind the scenes. And they don't understand what I do in a positive sense to co-create and work with people. They only see the one image, right? They only see the one presentment and the one form of attack, so to speak. They never see the bigger picture about the game and the border around the frame of the picture and what's going on here and where it all leads.
Yep.
What can I do for you, Mr. Targ?
Oh, no, Paul, I was just joining your broadcast. I came in a little late, and I got something to add to it. So this just happened last week. My friend, hi, everybody. My friend got a ticket for, like, reckless driving and some other stuff, and all in one day, right? So before he didn't want to go to court. He was going to just pay him off. And he finally told me, Paul, that he never had a license. I said, what do you mean? He's like, I never had a license, never applied for one. I said, well, they can't charge you on if you never had a license. What are they going to put it on? He didn't believe me. I kept on pushing. I'm like, dude, take it to court. He took it to court, and they never charged him with anything except one thing. But they never had a license. There is no points for not. If you never had a license, what are they going to charge you with? They couldn't charge him on two things. Oh, could you hear me better or no?
Yeah, it kind of broke up a little bit there.
I got you. Yeah, so the point I was trying to make is I told him, like, if you never had a license ever, never applied for it, what are they going to put the points on? You never applied for one. He didn't believe me. I kept on pushing it for him, trying to explain to him a little bit about the common law and things like that. He went there as a legal person, of course, but he still was never charged with any points, any stuff on his license because he never had one. He was only charged with the reckless driving, which is kind of weird, but they only charged him with that. Just to let you know, like, that's how it went in court.
Yeah, because the reckless driving, again, straddles the line between the common law and the legal system. If I observe somebody weaving in and out of lanes, presenting a direct threat to the public, I then have pretty much what I need to potentially initiate an interaction. You could argue any man or woman has that. If I'm riding down the road and I see penile power DMT'd out and he's swerving in lanes, I'm going to go, hey, bro, what are you doing? I'm going to initiate an interaction with him. Right? So that's just common law, common sense, common procedure. If we see someone potentially presenting a direct threat to other men and women who are free to use the roadway, you're probably going to initiate an interaction some way, somehow, at some point. That's just fucking common sense and logical. So, of course, they're going to charge him with that because that rides the line. And then all you have to do to get out of that is say, I get it. Maybe I had a bad day. Maybe I was a bit swervy. I was tripping. You know, I wasn't sipping on no scissor, but I was tripping. Did I do any loss, injury, and harm? Did I cause any wrongdoing? Is there any other man or woman who's saying that I'm like responsible for some wrongdoing or some bill that they're going to have to go to therapy for or whatever else. No, then what are we talking about? I shall not do it again, right? Or I shall maintain the order and whatever else. There's nothing to talk about at that point.
Agreed, Paul.
So yeah, they're always going to try to get you. If they can't get you with the legal society, legal system, they're going to try to get you with something that straddles the line, common law, legal system, and get you to try to admit that you owe them something or that you're guilty and cop out to a plea. But I can't see if you just don't argue with them, don't fight with them, say, I'm willing to compensate any man or woman if they just show me what I did wrong, and then go silent. I don't see how they're going to push the issue, right? Because again, like you said, if they thought that they were contractually sound and they could get the money up out of you and hold you to the procedure, they would. If they're not, they've already lost before they started. Because when I see that and I go, you guys should have 10 more charges on here. The fact that you didn't, I already know I got you. You already know this ain't going nowhere. When they got the goods, you're going to hear about it and see it. If you don't hear about it and see it, they ain't got it. That's just the way I play it.
I agree with you. And there's more to the story, too, that makes more sense is when he got stopped, it was a little accident. He was like road raging with somebody. There were like 3 of them. And I guess the cop, and they put him in the back, but the state police said you can't book him. Detroit wanted to book him, but they finally let him go. And he told me, like, I was just wondering why. I'm like, state is different in the city, but I'm almost sure if you never had a license, never copped any contract, and I was trying to explain to him a little bit more in the common law, then they have to let you go and never cause any injury, loss, or harm. If you guys had a little fender bender, then you go to court and be full.
It's a civil issue. I don't know why.
Am I calling off
It's
again?
this game they play with criminal and civil. They try to, even like there, he say, well, it's traffic code, but it's civil. What is civil if it's not a man claiming a grievance to another man? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so what are you going to bring in the man who wrote the code and say I broke his code because I didn't follow it and tell me I got to pay him for it? I mean, what are we talking about?
I asked him, Paul. I said, did you get anything in a letter from like any insurance people? Because there was a little fender bender on everybody's part. He's like, no. I'm like, so nobody did a complaint, anything like that. So just go to court and take it. And I guarantee you that he was so happy when he went to court and like pretty much won because he didn't have to pay the other 2. He only had to pay for the reckless driving. All I'm saying is sometimes you have to understand the common law.
Even that is ridiculous. So he was happy. Yeah. This is what the attorney does. The attorney knows due jurisdiction. He goes in and goes, Judge, you know this motherfucker didn't do nothing. We caught him with 10 pounds of meth. He's a fuck up lowlife. So let's just agree. He'll be happy if we agree that it's only 1 pound of meth instead of 10. We're going to make him a felon, put him on probation, take his fucking rights to have guns and all the rest of it, and everyone wins. But ultimately, if you just stuck to your guns and say, I had 10 pounds of fucking meth. I smoke a lot of meth. I'm a dirty motherfucker. But what you can't say is I'm criminal. I didn't do no loss, injury, and harm. Well, it's a controlled substance. You're damn right it was. I had it so controlled, I'm the only one using it. The kids didn't get to it. The wife didn't get to it. Nobody. Is anyone else complaining? Is anyone else making claims? What are we talking about? Again, this is what attorneys do, is that make both parties, the court and the client, happy, making them believe that they got away with something because they only copped to 2-3 charges and had to pay, rather than just say, I didn't do any wrong. I'm not paying for none of it, unless you could bring a man or woman forward with a motherfucking claim and a bill, like any other venue. He's like, yay, I only had to give him 1,000 because that's their bill for reckless driving. The state on the other side claim it. Like, are you kidding me? You got nothing. Yeah.
I know. I agree. It was like,
tell me, she goes, I couldn't believe my ears, right? They tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. The feds better come in and get me at some point for something big, or I just expose this whole thing, because 5 warrants went away, and this administrator goes, Mr. Laporta, the court reviews your history of presentments. We find that you can leave ROR. If you don't come to the next proceeding, you may be charged $1,000. I go, that's it? I keep leaving, not coming back to court, 5 fucking warrants, 8 ounces of weed, 10 guns, all the rest of it, and you tell me I can leave on my own word, and if I don't show up to the court, you may charge me $1,000? And when they say may, they don't have anything. Because
They
the
told me
pimp
this,
doesn't
yeah.
say we may beat your ass if you don't bring us our money. He says we will.
Yeah.
When they
When
got
they-
it, they show it. If they ain't showing it, they ain't got it. So this ain't me gloating and bragging and saying ego. I'm saying
No, it's
I
not.
believe I'm onto something here. Because there's no way
No.
they'd have let me out of that fucking box this last time with 5 no presentments and bench warrants that all went away. They said, you got no warrants from Colorado, Paulie boy. Or anywhere else. I said, thank Jesus. I said, I must be onto something here. God favors our undertakings because we're true and correct. This is all contracting. I've never seen anything like it. Just like the last one before that. 3 warrants from Denver, 50 miles from the border, unemployed on the record. I got no job. I don't know nobody, no family, 10 states away. I didn't meet any of the conditions to be released. We'll see you later, Paulie boy. Just come back on whatever day. No, I'm not coming back. Okay, shit's gone, man. Because there's no contract. You got no bond with me. I didn't agree to nothing. I didn't even give you the dollar you guys said I was supposed to pay. I didn't give you shit.
Yeah.
I don't have to. It's real simple. If I did wrong, you wouldn't know of me. You wouldn't hear of me. If I killed someone, robbed someone, did something really bad that they thought was a danger to the community, I'd be gone already. They wouldn't have let me the fuck out. They'd have me there waiting for trial in that hole. The fact they keep letting me walk out the door, not signing nothing, not paying nothing, with warrants and no presentments, it's over. The game's over. It's already been exposed. Like I said, if the feds don't come in at some point and say, we had the states and locals throw them warrants to the side because we started watching your ass and we figured we're going to charge you at some point. So we don't want nobody in between you acting like a fool out here. We just told them all, let him do whatever he wants. Don't even go for him because we're going to get him later. Always a possibility. I'm not going to tell people something that isn't true. It's a possibility. I don't know what for. But I don't have to know because these guys are better remixers than Dr. Dre. They'll say I'm a fucking biological terrorist. Who the fuck knows what I don't know. I don't need to know. In my world and what I'm doing, I haven't done wrong yet. And when I do wrong, I repent to my God and I reconcile with whoever the fuck I did wrong with. And I move on my life. Nowhere in that process does it require a state of or any other corporate body or entity. That's true self-governance. That is Americana. If we ain't got that, we ain't got nothing. I'm not talking something that's crazy and outlandish. I'm talking the foundational principles of this system and this land. So, sorry that I got it right. I know what I'm talking about. And most likely, unless they come in at some point, they got no contract, they got no bond. They got nowhere to go with these proceedings. And if they do come and get you and bring you in, it's real simple. Again, this is what the facts are. I'm not in bondage. I'm not agreeing. I'm under my God and the law of the land. Nothing else to talk about. So show me my cell and give me my phone call or restore me back to my original position and condition. Right?
Yeah. I totally agree, Paul, because like even with my situation, right? When they detained me, and I was respectful to the cop, went and let him do whatever they got to do. When they took me to the cell, he told me in the cell, we may not have anything on you, and you'll be free to go. Because I asked him like, you guys are doing it illegally, the search and everything. He's like, we're just be here for a little bit, and you may just and not come back. Until now, like I told my family, if they had anything on me, and I didn't do anything wrong, whatever there is, whatever they're gonna mix, they would already came and got me. It's not that hard.
Or they just sit on you, and in which case they're just wasting their time. Like if you sit on me and watch me, I don't cause any loss, injury, and harm.
Exactly.
I don't deal in any drugs or anything like that. Right?
Exactly.
I don't deal in weapons or anything like that. I don't do anything that you can actually establish is like loss, injury, or harm or big time issues and problems. You know, at best, I'm sure if you watched me, if any group of beings watched me, they'd find some ethics violation. Where they say, in our world, you're supposed to do this. It's a misdemeanor if you don't. Right? Yeah, Jennifer probably has a list of things I do. She doesn't appreciate my demeanor. She goes, this is a misdemeanor. I'm sure it is. Write up the complaints. Because ultimately, did I cause you loss, injury, and harm? Do I owe you money for a fucking debt? Have I taken care of all my obligations in certain ways and what we've agreed? Yes. Then we got no problem, do we? No. There's plenty of folks in my life who have a list of complaints, summons and complaints. They want me to show up and defend myself and explain why I'm an angry motherfucker, I guess. Why I'm, why I'm an abrasive, obnoxious motherfucker who does whatever he wants. They've been telling me I got misdemeanors since the day I popped out the womb. What does that amount to when it comes to the law and doing wrong, right? Or causing harm. So yeah, man, I mean, this is the overlooked common law and common sense that has now been exposed for what it is. I'm not willing to buy that they would have let me out, even if the feds are doing whatever. It's more likely the feds came in when I activated them and are telling these people, if you keep picking Paulie Boy up and you hold him, you're just racking up the bill for him to potentially come to activate us again and sue your bitch asses and put you all in jail. You can't keep taking a motherfucker's body for supposed civil traffic infractions when he's not doing commerce. You can't take Paulie Boy's body because he wants to engage in bearing arms, which is a natural right. You guys all got him.
Yep.
So till we go into complete Holocaust fascism, and we're best people are working on it, they know what I'm saying is true and correct. And they have little to nothing when it comes to delegation of authority and empowerment to move on me and take my body and my property. They try it from time to time. But then the facts speak for themselves. The record speaks for itself. The law of the land speaks for itself. All I have to do is invoke that. You know? Just like I told this woman this time. I have faith that by the next pretrial meeting, this matter is going to be settled. I really believe that. If I show up this next time and she's got a different attitude and presentment and they want to steamroll me, I'm going to say, you know what? I must be at the wrong court. You know what comes next now. You know Paulie Boy's exit stage left routine. I'm going to tell you that I won't be back. You can't say I'm in dishonor. You can't say I'm a fugitive of justice. I showed up again on my word. You let me out of the box on my fucking word. I said, I have faith this next meeting, this will be settled. When I show up to pretrial, if you don't do what's true and correct and you want to play games, I will not be presenting again without a fee. Very simple.
Yeah.
We're going to walk it out. I'm going to do my walk it off routine, like the home run. I'm going to hit the home run and I'm going to walk it off. And you can come get me. Oh, I'm going to. It's what I've been doing this whole time. I give you the benefit of the doubt. You gave me 3 days box time to restore my faith with God. I needed it anyway. You strengthened my faith. God works in mysterious ways. I accept it, right? So I got what I needed. Where's the wrong? If you can't show it, I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. You want to put the warrant out and come get me? Drag me back here? We'll have the discussion. Like I've told you guys, all up and down 3 to 5 states, right? I'm a traveling man. I got places to go and be. I got animals in different areas. I got properties. I got bitches even. Who knows what I got? Who knows? Maybe I just like going to different lands to be by myself. I don't need to explain myself to you. I'm not a fugitive of justice. I ain't running and hiding. I do a fucking broadcast every day. I tell everybody who and what I am and what I'm doing. And I tell you all to your face, fresh out the box in the orange jumpsuit. Give me my clothes because I'm leaving. And if you ain't going to be honorable, I ain't coming back. There's nowhere to go from there. And I can't believe that they can't believe that I can't believe that they can't believe that it keeps happening.
Yeah,
I'm
like
sure that it's not typical, right? It's very unorthodox and unconventional. Well, that's me. Always has been, probably always will be. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And if I'm not doing wrong, I should be allowed to. That's the point of being a man. If I can't grow up and be a man and do what I want, there's no point living here. That was the whole point of being a child. I said, at some point, I'm going to become a man, mama, and I'm going to be able to do whatever the fuck I want to do in my house and in my body and my beingness, as long as I ain't doing wrong. If we don't have that anymore, then there's no point in even living. So come get me, drag my bitch ass in, shackle me up, and put me the fuck in the back with the Castro and the rest of them, and make it good and long. I might need it and not know it under God. You know, that's the scary part about it. One of these motherfuckers may get activated and put me behind the wall for a while, and I may come to find out by the end of it that it's exactly what the fuck I needed, because God works in mysterious ways. And oftentimes, when you get what you need, it's wrapped in what the fuck you don't want.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, it's always good to think that with you. Yeah. It is. I'm sorry, it is.
You can't have more trust in God and faith in that. If I'm meant to be back there, well, then they'll decide, and God will allow that commission, Lucifer, to play its game and do its thing and put my ass behind the wall. If it believes it should, then it will. I really don't need to know nothing else other than that, other than who and what I am, what I'm going to do and not do.
I just want to tell you about that, and I'll listen to you a little more. And
No, go ahead. You're breaking up though, man. You got to get near your service provider.
Oh, what I was saying is I don't got any. I see something or.
You're breaking up, man.
But yeah, this is going. Oh, I'm breaking up again. God bless it. Let me try this. How about that? Is that better now?
There you go.
There we go. All right. What I was saying is I'll let you like finish your thing and I'll watch it, and then if anything comes up, I'll comment.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, I mean it's a very grandiose, arrogant, seeming and sounding claim to say it turns out that while you can't fight City Hall, you don't have to, because City Hall doesn't typically go all the way with you if you're not believing you did wrong. It's a very kind of naive, gullible sounding, absurd. It's everything. I get it. You know, if you don't have a faith in God or something above this system and what you see, then what I'm talking about and what I'm doing seems like absolute craziness and suicide. Maybe it is. Again, I'm not shy about my past history. I have a history of suicidal behavior at one point. I'm not suicidal now. I don't want to die. I've accepted death as part of life, that at some point I'm going to be done here, and I've accepted that. It's precisely because I'm not suicidal but have accepted my death that I'm able to truly live with what I believe is true in my heart. Right? If I wanted to die and I didn't care about myself on some level and what's true and what's right, well, I just go do heroin. I just go be a fucking lowlife like I was. I just say fuck it all. What's the point of coming off all drugs and dedicating yourself to this walk in this way, knowing there may be sacrifice and consequence over and over again? It's only because I've accepted death while not being suicidal that I've decided to truly live and to learn and find out who and what I really am and what my power is here in truth and in faith. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So I have to contend with that firsthand story, life being like a movie. It's got to be true on some level. It can't be this many coincidences and synchronicities for myself and many other people for it to not be true on some level. This isn't some fucking hallucination. You know, this isn't some trip that we all got on and made up. There's some smoke to this fire, and turns out it's the basis for who and what we are as a creature, let alone a society, a culture, a civilization, a spiritual beingness, a consciousness. This is the core of who and what we are, let alone not some imagination-based hallucination. So the more folks come to that understanding and start to really see and feel and be one with this beingness, right? This intuitive intelligence, they will start to see the change and access this beingness that I and others have access. Brian O'Shea told you. He goes, I don't care what they do to my body at this point. I can't trade this for anything else. Me just keeping my body and my comfort and being safe another day is not worth me tricking myself out of my true power and position, knowing what the true faith is, right? Going past those boundaries and fear, doing what in my heart I believe is true and what's right. You can't trade that for anything, that experience. That is a coming of age, actualization, realization story. There's nothing in this realm that can supplant that, right? Or sublimate for that. There's nothing like true actualization, realization, and being convicted and moving past fear and what you know is true and what's right and doing it over and over again. That's what wakes a godly Christian up. That's what wakes a Muslim up every day. Knowing they're surrounded by infidels and they may have to be martyred doing what's true and what's right. Without that walk, there's no purpose in being here.
Yeah.
You're completely nihilistic and purposeless and meaningless and valueless. Don't you guys get that? This is coming from an ex-heroin addict, agnostic atheist with little to no faith, running on nothing but hate, bitterness, and resentment, to be quite clear, right? At one point, you know the love of truth, and by proxy, the love of God, and by proxy, the love of self, and actually actualize and realize into that more and more, you start to realize, where have you been all my life? What was the other purpose of even coming here if we're not going to do that? That's when you really start to pity the rest of the nihilists who haven't come to that understanding yet. You really do pity them. You really wish the slow states and the others could have this experience along with you. That's all you really want, is for these folks to have this experience with you and really feel and see what it's about and how the universe opens up to you to a certain degree, right? You know, it's not about hate. It's not about competition. It's not about division. It's not about I'm right, you're wrong. It's about this truth is right, and without it, we've gone wrong.
Absolutely.
That's it. Right? And the evidence is everywhere for it. I don't know how you folks can't see it and feel it at this point. I get it, because it seems kind of counterintuitive. It seems like it's a fantasy. But again, this is what reality is. Show me the line between fantasy and reality in this creation.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
aren't rights, Paul, isn't rights also isn't rights our social contract? All these rights are under our social contract. So pretty much they're based by the illusion of force. Isn't that true?
Right. That's the game. Is you have the right to vote. You know, they phrase it as if you have a right to pay taxes, you have a right to vote, and you have a privilege to drive, and all the rest of it. That's all bestowed to you by the state. Well, what about God? Where does God come into this conversation? Oh, hush. We don't want. I'm sure you don't, because once we bring the principle into the conversation with the agents of the principle, it leaves you guys out of the mix in the contract, doesn't it? Right? It's a renegotiation on the body politic and the unspoken social contract. Yeah, I get my rights from God. Yeah, I get my leadership and my guidance and protection from God. You know what that means? It means no one in this realm can get in between that relationship. That's the strongest contract you can have, is the one with yourself and the higher self. There is no other contract in this realm that can compete with that or outshine that or overwrite that. And that's what the infidel can't understand, right?
It's sad that they don't. Yeah, like you said exactly about flow state. I wish one day like he can understand how this feels, you know, or anybody like him that doesn't understand how this feels when they actually take that path. But hopefully one day they'll do it.
Yeah, this is true power, and it's not that we do this necessarily to get power. It's just that walking this truth, life, and way, at some point you become re-inspired and re-empowered when you're reborn in a sense. So this is true power. It doesn't matter what happens to my body or from here on out. You can't take away this experience and this choice that I've made. It is truly inspiring and empowering. There is no other way in this realm to know true power and inspiration. I haven't found it. Your drugs ain't going to do it for you. Your sex ain't going to do it for you. Your rock star bullshit lifestyle and idol worship ain't going to do it for you. It just doesn't measure up. There's no other way to see it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you can't even have all those other things in good relationship to self if you're not walking this way.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling these Muslim and Christians when I argue with them a little bit about religion. I ask them, do you have a license? They say yes. Okay, you have another master, so that means you're not really saying what you're saying is truth. In terms of their like relationship with one master, because they keep saying they only worship God, but you're also saying you worship the state as your master, so that doesn't make sense. But I don't know.
But that's when you become powerless. That is the disempowerment, when they get you to worship the state of and its agents as the true power of this world. That's when you become powerless in and of yourself and with the spirit, right? So they know what they're doing. Just like the Shaitan took the Christ of being and said, say where you're God and where you're judges, just disavow the God of creation and we'll give you a position in all the worldly power. It doesn't measure up. The being goes, if I give this up, it wouldn't matter if you gave me $1 billion and made me the king of the whole world. I have a power and inspiration here above and beyond what you guys can all amass together in this world. My kingdom is not of this world, right? This has been an understanding of the dual jurisdiction of the overworld and the underworld from the beginning of time. And these folks think this is just some story. This is just some fairy tale. No, this is a description of the states of consciousness and the dual jurisdiction of the legal world versus the lawful world. The world run by man who is corrupt and the world run by God who is pure and intentional and purposeful and has meaning and value written into this cosmos for all of us, whether you're aware of it or not. I'm speaking something I couldn't imagine was true at one point. And I'm telling you, I've lived it. Go explain that one. I'm telling you something that as it's coming out of my mouth, I can't believe I'm fucking saying it over and over again, let alone 500 days straight. This is probably what compelled motherfuckers to sit down and write scriptures, thousands of pages, is having this born again experience where you access true knowledge of self, empowerment, inspiration, and you feel almost untouchable to the people and the ways of this world. There is nothing to compare with that, above or beyond that. You can't equalize with that, and you can't overwrite that or outcompete that. That's the one thing that offsets the rest of this game going on here that you see. And if it wasn't there, these people would already have this place. It's so obvious. The one thing most people won't look to is the one thing holding them back from taking everything.
Yeah, so that's what separates from me now, Paul. Anybody that claims he's religious or in touch with God, whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, whatever religion you're on, if you worship the state, in my eyes, you are not worshiping God. It's that simple. Like you break it
You
down.
can't
So
serve two
simple for me.
masters.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Why do you think EBT is a sodden drunk? Why do you think that he's guilty all day, every day, and disintegrated? Why do you think, as much as he has love for me and respect for me, he never shows up here, but shows up with Cretans with 20 people watching? Because he's guilty and ashamed. The wicked flee and hide their face when none pursue. The righteous are bold as a lion, because they already have access to something you motherfuckers have no idea of what it's like to experience it.
Yeah.
So you got to go numb yourself and get more and more drunk and more disempowered and downtrodden while I continue to rise and shine in the truth and in the faith. It's not about my personality. Are you kidding? I'm one of the weakest fucking cowardly pussy motherfuckers in existence. You want to call it as it is? I fucking pass out when they try to take blood from me.
Yeah, I know some people that pass out, yeah.
So this ain't about being some fucking badass, worldly, tough guy, street fighter, and all the rest of it. Ultimately, when you take away all the bravado and the ego, I'm one of the most cowardly, bitch-ass, fearful motherfuckers out there. If it wasn't for this truth and this faith, I wouldn't be shit.
I agree.
Praise God.
Like Richard, and I had an argument with him. All they defer to, like the really religious Christians. So what do you want us to do? How are we going to do this? Like, where are we going to go work? And that's their answer. Like, they can't, I don't know if they can't comprehend that they can actually do it without, like, consenting to the state and all that. They just don't want to do it.
Yeah, they're beaten. They've given up before they've ever started. They have no idea, and it's sad because they have no faith. If they had the least amount of faith, like it said, the size of a mustard seed, you'd watch mountains move. The motherfucker would just get in their heart that there's a bigger plan and process and just move into their intuition. They'd watch a whole bunch of doors start opening and a bunch of doors start closing, quite frankly. This is the other part of what you motherfuckers won't understand because you're two in the world a lot of times. I know I've been there. A door closes and you think you lost something. That's God's protection for you. It's going to open two more of where you're meant to be. Stop looking at what the fuck you lost or what you've had to give up. That blocks the blessing for what you're being prepared to receive.
Exactly.
You know how many folks, including myself, blocked their blessings for so long because they were too busy looking backward at a door that just closed while there was two more opening up in front of them?
Yeah. Plus, you feel free, Paul. Like, I would say, like, in terms of freedom and free will or whatever, free choice, when you take this path or this walk, like, a lot of things go off your shoulders. Like, for me, I don't worry about cops anymore. I used to always worry all the bullshit. They're behind me, not behind me. I don't really care anymore. That's it. It's just, it's like something that comes off of you that you don't worry about it anymore, period. Because like you said, when you understand the language, understand you have done no harm, loss, or injury, what are you worried about? You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, oftentimes, man, in this walk, you're not excited about walking off that ledge, but you really have no choice, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't need to be considered brave because ultimately it just comes down to I feel the fear and then there's nowhere to go but forward, because if I turn back, then I've relinquished my status and my standing and my true faith, right?
Yep.
So it's just like, it's one of those things where you just walk off the ledge. That's what the true faith is. It scares the shit out of you that you're willing to do what the rest of them tell you not to do. And by virtue of that, this thing opens up to you some way, somehow, because it knows the rest of them are going to go, oh, put that fear on them, watch them back away from that ledge. Right. And then there's some who you put the fear on them and they go, oh, I know what this is. I got to jump now. And once they jump, they realize the bottomless pit is there, but they have wings. You know, that's the revelation to the being, right? You know, and then ultimately, man, once you access that space, it doesn't even matter what happens ultimately. Because by the time you get yourself into some trouble, you're already there and you got nothing but faith again and trust that you're going to get out. And if not, well, then get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Very true.
You know, you give yourself no ways out, man. You give yourself no options. There's no quarter here. You know, it's like going into battle. Were you going to tell a motherfucker on the plane who's trained his whole life or however many years, when it's time to jump out the plane, he's going to get scared and go and look to his buddies and go, I'm not going to parachute? No, you're trained to fucking be a paratrooper. You're jumping out of this fucking plane. If you don't, this plane's going to own your ass for the rest of your life. There's no option. Gotta jump. Once you reach that point in this game and in any game like that, it's like getting on stage like Brian O'Shea. You don't have an option to not get on stage. You don't have an option. You leave yourself no out. Right? So by the time, that fear's kicking in, you're already out the door and out the plane. And whether that shoot's going to work or not, you're going to be able to win this war or not. It's just move forward time. You got nowhere else to go, right? Now, I can't imagine how motherfuckers would jump out of a plane into a foreign land to do war with motherfuckers who are probably more righteous than them. I think you're insane not to do this walk, to travel freely, to uphold rights, to not pay slave tax because you're not liable to. You're not obligated to give any corporation a third of what you create. And if you are, well, then show me the contract. I ain't telling you what I'm not. I'll pay anybody, even more than what they ask. Just show me the contract. Just give me the delegation of authority. Show me the legitimate contract. I'll give you whatever the fuck you're asking for. I ain't going to be belligerent and combative. If you can't produce that, we got nothing to talk about. I don't know what the fuck the rest of you are doing and talking about. Must be some fetish you're into. Giving what you have away to other people you've never met. I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah. And
So,
one thing
yeah,
about
man,
Brian,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying something
No,
about
I just
about
can't
Brian
imagine
as
how
well.
there's so many people willing to put on a goofy costume and jump out of a plane to do war with people who didn't do nothing to them, but won't stand for rights, freedom, principles, upholding the law and spiritual faith, and risk going to a box. I don't get it.
I don't get it either because it is scary to jump off a plane, all that crazy shit. It is. But I want to
wouldn't
say
do
one
it.
thing to Brian.
I wouldn't jump in Afghanistan and try to war with them motherfuckers over your nonsense policy. I wouldn't do it for $1 billion. If you told me I would, there's no way you'd get me to do it. This shit, I go, if we don't do it, we're fucked anyway.
I jumped off a parachute 500 feet up and by dragged by like the boat and thing, and that was super scary, to be honest with you. But one thing I want to say about Brian O'Shea is like people think getting up on stage, like what he does as comedy, is easy. It's not easy being on stage. I can't do it. So people make sometimes fun of Brian O'Shea. It takes a lot of guts to get on stage and get comfortable with the uncomfortable, especially like when you got people facing you, and especially in comedy when you can be booted and all that. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. So Brian O'Shea, keep doing what you're doing, and things will open up for you, brother.
Well, that's what allows him to do what he's doing with the lawful stuff, is getting on stage. Once you get on stage over and over again to that firing squad, there's almost nothing you can't do. You train that muscle, you work that muscle's invaluable. That muscle's going to take you somewhere in life, because there's so few people who can go past that fear threshold when they got that firing line on the other side. You're bound to be successful at some point, because most people ain't never going to touch that place. They don't, whether they have the material or not, they can't get out of their own way. It's not about the comedy. It's not about what you're going to say. It's getting out of your own way. Most people can't get out of their own way to do the next right thing. Too much fear, too much self-doubt. Once you start to work that muscle, it's only a matter of time before you hit on something and become successful, because the rest of them ain't got it and they ain't working to get it.
I agree. Working the heart is different than working like weights or anything like that. Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. Because I know a lot of people that are, they work out every day and stuff like that, whatever the case may be. But when it comes down to like real conflict, they're not there. So it doesn't matter. Like you said, when you work that muscle in the heart, things get way easier for you. Face anything, leave lawful, anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
All right, I got state citizen challenges jurisdiction. Case dismissed. So we're going to view that. It's less than 5 minutes. And then I'm going to wrap it up because we're at the 3rd hour mark. So.
All right, cool, Paul. I'll listen.
Of North Carolina American Republic went back to court today for my 3rd time to challenge jurisdiction of the court. The facts of the matter are that there are 2 states called North Carolina who have entered into the American Union. The first state was the 12th state, which ratified the Constitution. First state was set up by the freemen of North Carolina, which ratified the United States Constitution. The second state was created by the Reconstruction Acts, which was a newly created state, which was not set up by the consent of the free people. I presented evidence the last time that I was in there, which was part of my evidence was the military order number 120, removing the government of North Carolina the surrender letter from Governor Jonathan Worth, as well as the presidential veto of Andrew Johnson vetoing the Reconstruction Acts. Okay, now this is my third time in today. The last time that I was in, they did not let my court recorder set up to record the process that was taking place. They pushed it off again and said that the state would be ready to argue against me this time.
And were they?
No, they were not ready. When I got there today, when they called my name, I stood up and the judge said, well, present your argument. And I started going through stating what I had just stated about there being two states. And the judge said, well, we established that, or we assume that we have jurisdiction. The citation that you have by you driving on the roads and living in Forsyth County, that gives us jurisdiction, showing no evidence whatsoever to prove that they have jurisdiction.
Can you explain a little bit more about the different types of jurisdiction and the jurisdiction that you're arguing versus what the judge was saying was valid?
Yes, well, there's three different types of jurisdiction. There's subject matter jurisdiction, persona jurisdiction, and jurisdiction over the soil. Over the soil is what we are challenging, because through this Reconstruction Act, it deprived the freemen of North Carolina the soil to govern. So that's why we're going here challenging this, because that was a violation of due process.
What does the Constitution have to say about jurisdiction?
Right. This guy somehow figured it out, which is why they need the all caps person, personal jurisdiction, which is why they need you claiming with the person to be a resident of the state of. It's a geographical jurisdiction, supposedly. And then the subject matter, which is you believe statute, policy, and code is your law. And that's how they get all three on you. So if you don't claim residency of a state of, you're a traveler, whether you're domiciled on a state or not, you don't claim residency. You don't claim to be a surety by signing the paperwork for that person, right? And what was the other one? We have the personal, we have the subject matter, and the geographical, right? So if you don't believe statute, policy, and code is your law because it requires consent of the governed, Cornell University, not Pauly Boy's fantasy, right? If you're not a resident of that state of, well, you have no contract to that state of, so there's no geographical. And if you're not claiming to be a surety for the legal entity known as the person appearing in person, they don't have any of the three. Do you think maybe that's why I keep walking the fuck out of there? Because I don't have any residency at this time, regardless of where I live and what I have. I won't claim residency. I won't take out the contracts with those identifiers. And I rebut the presumption, assumption, tacit agreement, and hearsay constantly. They always have three questions for you. Where's your license, registration, insurance? Are you a resident of? Right? And then you're using this property, which is paid for by the citizen. So we have to keep it safe / upkeep and maintain it for the trust. Yeah, no problem with that. When you do harm to me to try to keep everyone safe, it kind of defeats the purpose. I'm sure you understand.
Well, the Constitution says, according to Article 4, Section 3,
it doesn't
Clause
say
1, it says
anything. It reads. The document doesn't talk.
Two states cannot operate within the same jurisdiction. So that's what we have now. The judge responded to this today by stating that they just assume jurisdiction because I travel on the roads that gives them jurisdiction. So he ignored the challenge over the soil, which is the main challenge here. Who owns the soil? Is it still the freemen of North Carolina?
It's God.
That ratified the Constitution.
No. These people have to all go to the next level. I love this guy and his little collared shirt and his glasses and how he has all the code and the Constitution down and all the rest of it. You can't own land. It's God's land. Whoever, whatever owns this realm and created it owns that land. You get to use it, upkeep it, and maintain it, Poindexter, for the good of yourself and everyone else. When you breach that trust and that contract, there's consequences, either from God or from the oath officials. Okay? So
Paul,
how you would conclude that some free man of Montana owns the land that you're on, or some governmental entity, some corporate entity, I can't understand it. And they'll say, Paul, he's crazy. Look at him. He's doing glasses up there with his hand. What is that? Well, this is my bit. This is the bit where people put glasses on but can't fucking see spiritually. That's this bit. It's like, oh, let me put my glasses on to read the document and completely obfuscate over my spiritual vision that I don't have. It's got to say something here, right? It doesn't say anything. It reads stuff, and someone put it there. And guess what? God created them too. So could you show me the delegation of authority chain of title? No, because it doesn't exist. But you believe it. You accept it.
They do.
Nobody can own land. You hold it in trust. That's the best way to protect yourself legally and to be lawfully sound, because you can't own the damn land. You're here for a while, then you're gone, and someone else takes it. You could argue fire and flood comes in and animals come in and repossess it because it was nature's before it was yours. I know that this is shocking. These guys are searching documents for titles and claims on God's fucking property and creation. You guys are insane. And then you'll say, I'm insane because I'm talking about God and spiritual vision.
In their scripture, Paul, it says that God is the only sovereign. What's so fucking confusing
about that? Well, it's not their scripture because they're fake-ass Christians. They're not actual Christians. They don't live in the truth, life, and way. They don't do what Jesus did. They just pray to Jesus to get them more money and promotions and shit. And it never works. And if it does work, it works against them. Jesus goes, give them a promotion in the bitch they've been wanting so he can undo himself and get back under God. Go ahead. Give it to them all. It's okay. Let's just continue. I was bound to find fault with this guy, right? I find fault with everyone.
The judge, he just ignored all the evidence that I had submitted.
And I never have anything good to say.
And just continued on to proceed. They had told me to go sit back down. About an hour passed, and then they say, okay, we're going to take a 15-minute break. We took a 15-minute break, came back in, and sat in the courtroom for 15 more minutes. So 30 minutes had passed. They were waiting on the police officer to show up to testify against, I guess, what had taken place, since they assumed they had jurisdiction without proving it and showing any evidence of that. But after we came back from the break, they called my name second and just told me to stand where I was. And I stood up, and they said, we're going to dismiss your case because the police officer hasn't showed up to testify. And the judge said, you're free to go. Have a good day. The prosecution did not provide any evidence or say any word whatsoever today. It was the judge saying everything today. There was no rebuttal of what was said today.
I'm John Ainsworth. I'm Chief Magistrate of the North Carolina American Republic. And I went with Jerry Plemons to court today. And Jerry did a wonderful job presenting the case. Our basic case is 2 states called North Carolina have entered the Union. I think you know that. And we're just challenging the lawfulness of the second state that entered the American Union. The ones in operation today was put in by military force. And we feel the proper way to do this is to go into court and bring this stuff up. And I find it very disturbing. I think most people should find it very disturbing that all we're asking the court, all Jerry's asking the court, all I've asked the court, and several, Mandy and several other people have gone in there, is if you will prove you're a lawfully created state, you just prove that your jurisdiction is lawful, we'll do everything you say. And we're met every single time with the state remaining mute, the prosecution moving forward and pretending like this isn't a valid argument. And anyone that looks at Reconstruction knows that you don't change. You can't call a government that's overthrown and changed by military force a government of consent and a free government. So that's really what we're trying to do, is get back to what this nation was founded on. And we want to bring the legal argument in that that brings it up in the proper manner.
Oh, yeah, you don't say. It turns out their codes say you can't have 2 existing states at the same time, but every state has a state of Colorado and Colorado State. And every one of the magistrates, if they will answer, like I got them to answer the one time at least, dual jurisdiction. We got a conflict of interest. It's called corporate takeover. And I suspect there might be some foreign interference behind this. There might be some, what the folks like to call Illuminati. You know, like British, Germanic, different European parliamentary influences over America and American idealism, potentially, like special relationships with the UK and the state of Israel, shit like that.
Yeah, someone might say that's true,
Yeah, some might say that the corporate body politic that you call democracy that's been overlaid on this republic is actually an overthrow of the law of the land for essentially a parliamentary, feudalist, fascistic corporate procedure and proceeding. for extraction of revenue and to abolish private property and natural rights. It is El Marxismo. I don't know if that's the right way to say it with the folks down south. You know, whether you call it Marxism, communism, fascism, whatever ism it is, I prefer Satanism.
Yeah.
Myself, right? Because to me, it's all just roots back to a spiritual core consciousness and awareness, dual jurisdiction, right from wrong, true from false, real from fantastical.
Yeah, all the isms, Paul, are abolishing. Pretty much what it means. All the isms, they're abolishing the private property. Correct.
That's all it amounts to. If you could show me where it's anything else other than that, the boil down is every state you go to at this point, there is no more private transportation. There is no more private property. All your land, your houses, your vehicles are under corporate procedure. They're all registered. They're all taxed, and they're all considered elements of the state of.
Yep.
Somewhere, somehow, some way through that banking system, you're going to find documentation saying the state of has an interest and equity in your supposed property, including your estate, your body, and everything that extends off of it.
Yeah, you signed it over.
That's all
Yeah,
it
of course.
is.
If you signed it over, I don't, but understand if.
Yeah, democracy is a sister of socialism. Socialism is another name for communism, which is another name for collectivism, which is all the same thing as fascism. And at the root of all the isms, including the sexism, the racism, and all the rest of it, is Satanism. The beingness who's deceived self away from true self into a false reality, divided from life and creation, destroying itself and other selves. That's all it is. Doesn't matter what you call it on the most shallow, literal level. Behind all of it is the same archetypal state of consciousness and way of beingness. It's uncanny. Down to the lingo. You go to any land on any part of the world, and they're all in the same goofy symbols, the same costumes with the same colors, spouting the same logic, illogical nonsense. Right? It's not logic. It's illogical nonsense. We're going to do harm to you right now for your safety. What else would you call it? If you went back 100 years to the supposed Third Reich, the only time it happened, like they say, it's happened everywhere at all times. It's always the same phrases. It's always the same lingo. It's always the same symbols, and it's always the same resolution. More for them, less for you. Whether it's power, rights, properties, abilities.
It's all backed, Paul, by the threat of force, correct? Because the threat of force.
Right, and the only way that it continues is the majority of the populace is lacking in faith.
Yep.
You cannot enslave a population of faithful people who are willing to be martyred in truth. The Muslims prove that.
Yeah.
We're going on 3 fucking decades. They can't get it sewn up over there because they're not a population of infidels. They only wake up to be killed for what's true and what's right. The rest of it's just farming and living in hell. Well, here we are. In the middle of the desert, farming, surrounded by infidel slaves, living in hell, trying to pursue some type of higher self, some type of true loving care, and co-creational experience here. What else is there? It's like, oh, it's that time again. The infidels are going to come in and try to take our rights and property. Time to kill or die. What else is there, right? It's the same fucking thing over and over on every land from the beginning of time, and it's not stopping at any time soon. I contend it's only going to get worse till you cowardly motherfuckers wake up and start doing and being the change. Till then, my life's going to be a lot more interesting. I'm for it. Right? I ain't complaining. I ain't victim. Give me I was going to say, give me the final word if you got it. You know, if you want to say a bit more, address the audience. And then I'm going to close up shop here. There's always tomorrow to scream and yell and do my loop again, right? So,
no. Like, whatever you do, it's like an correct and go from there.
No idea what you just said.
Oh, you couldn't hear me?
You completely broke up there. And then he leaves. Okay. Tarek, you broke up there and then you got kicked. It looks like I didn't do that. So yeah. I'm going to take that as your last word. Your your last word, non-word, because we didn't actually get it. But hey, man, there's always tomorrow, right? We've been here before. We'll be here again. We're going to keep looping, just like the news does, just like your government does, just like Shaitan does, from one age to the next, from one land to the next. It's the wheel within the wheel, the mandala, as the folks out east would tell you to contemplate on. The wheel within the wheel. We're looping. There's no way out of it. All you can do is change the loop, it would seem, right? So I'm out of here, folks. Mazel from out west. The folks from Hollywood, thank you for being here. If nothing else, just for this to be one big humiliation mockery ritual, right? The more I come on here day after day and talk about rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, and while the majority continues to do little to nothing, they just can't get enough of that. They go, look at Paulie boy. He's so cute over there talking all this crap. It sounds good. It feels good. I'm sure it's true and it's real, but the slaves are never going to do it on the whole. So what's the point, Paulie boy? And I say, well, I got nothing else left here. As much as I'd like to join you folks and go full Luciferian swing, genocide and enslave the dumbed down slaves who don't wish to care for themselves and what's true and what's right, I can't be part of that. Right. So I respect you. I give you the wink and the nod. All the folks out west, Hollywood, all you Luciferians. It takes all of you, everyone on all sides, to make this creation what it is. Right. All the slaves, all the Luciferian masters of this world, all the free men and women, and others, I guess, somewhere in between. That pretty much sums up all three sides of the no-sided dynamic. Okay. I'm out of here, people. I love you. If you don't love the truth, right, forget about me, because I'm up out of here like we all are. If you don't love the truth back, because I love you by proxy, right? I love the truth, so therefore I love you, because we're all here to experience this truth. If you don't love that truth back, I'm probably going to tell you to go fuck yourself at some point, some way, somehow, right? I'll try to be polite about it. But if you're for the truth as I experience it, and I got to thank Julian Barbary, and notice I say as I experience it, because there is always a possibility that I'm completely delusional, like many others who I've witnessed, right? I can't do that thing. Thank you, Julian Barbary, for your contribution. He says, thanks, Paul. See, this broadcast wasn't completely a loss, right? It wasn't completely for nothing. And of course, I'm kidding on that. What the fuck else would I do here at this point? Hardly a comedian. I'm no Brian O'Shea. This is all I have: rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, and me somehow being redeemed from my life of corruption and wickedness, which still is a work in progress, I would say, as it is for all of us. All right, I'm done. I've said my piece. Get the fuck out of here. I'm tired of looking at you people. Why are you still here? That's the question. Don't you have other things to do? All right, Paul Unconventional on the way out. Say goodnight to the bad guy. Back tomorrow. Look for the notification.
Paulie, why do you care so much about dying on this hill and fighting this battle of traveling freely? It goes, speak free, move free. If you're losing those two, you got nothing left. Fuck slaves. If you can't speak freely and move freely, you're a fucking prisoner. Don't you get that? The thing is it's not about the land you got. It's like the rights you got, the property you got, whatever extends off you. It's about getting, keeping, and having it in the sense of the status and jurisdiction, not in the sense of, the prideful, egotistical state of consciousness. So tell me all about how you're going to have $1,000 piece of land or a $10 million piece of land, but you really don't own it because you got to pay taxes on it. When are we going to address the law of the land versus statute, policy, and code? Hello? That's what brought us into this interaction, remember? They don't have a right, nor is it sound procedure to possess or to try to take tribute from land that is supposed to be owned and controlled and at the whim of the man or the woman who's claiming such and has the documentation and record to prove it. This is absurd. So when are you folks going to activate your conviction in your mind and heart, first and foremost, and say, this is bizarre, this is incorrect behavior, I'm not interested what the code even says, I want to have a conversation with my servants, with my representatives. I want to know how this benefits me, and if it doesn't benefit me, it's a detriment to me. How could that be lawful? When are folks going to take a stand? When are they going to put the proper status and jurisdiction on record? When are they going to make their claim? Or do conditional acceptance with these state of agents and say, I'll accept everything and even pay you twice as much as what you're asking for. If you would just substantiate your motherfucking claim in something that is sensible and lawful, show it to me. When are you going to do that? Because I don't see how much land and whatever the fuck else you're going to get and avoid that experience and ever feel like a real man or woman here, a real American, a real Canadian. I think you're always going to know in the back of your mind or in your subconscious you're a bitch-ass slave and never rose to the occasion. Because you're too scared of having to go sit with yourself in a box, which has been done from the beginning of time by everyone, including the man you all say you worship and started societies off of. I'm waiting.
These people are disgusting.
That thing is waiting. You're all quietly desperate and waiting for the inevitable to take hold of you anyway. Why not activate and do something different today? I'm just asking questions. If you're tacitly agreeing with a presumption and assumption and you're not rebutting it or asking for the delegation of authority and the facts of the matter, you're already pimped. Call it a day. Just go be a good fucking hoe and live the rest of your life from that venue and that status. I'm not mad at it. It only increases my value and rarity with the universal force and with the people. So go ahead, be a good pet slave, submissive, broken hoe, and do what the fuck you're told to do. And hope that you die with enough representations of value to make you feel like a human fucking being. I'm down with it. You like it, I love it.
God of all media.